Good morning, guys. Sunday morning, 18th of July. I want to talk to you about this fallout from the England-Italy game. It went into extra time, went to penalties, we lost on penalties. 3 were successful, 3 were unsuccessful. Got to mention the skill and the dedication of the goalkeeper. I thought it was amazing, the English goalkeeper. But anyway, we went out on penalties. Nobody likes it. It is what it is. I think the overriding feeling was not the colour of the people that took the penalties. It was more England going out on yet another penalty shootout. It's unfortunate. But a lot of racist comments have popped up, and I'm glad to say that it's showing that most of them come from outside the UK. I don't do Twitter, I don't do FaceTube or Facebook or anything. I stick away from it because it is what it is. It's a salt pit of bile and hatred, and if you can get disowned for making a comment, and I think the ones that were found to be from the UK were from children. I know a particular a 12-year-old child. That's not hatred, but that's ill-educated. He's a white kid that's not been educated properly. Another part of a pandemic in the UK is the state of the education system. It's terrible in our country. Anyway, whoever makes them, they're just ill-informed, ill-educated people, and probably need a little bit of treatment. But alienated, beat, whatever, no, I don't agree with that. They did what they did. Not good. As I said, we look at sporting heroes and we try to make things what we accept in life and that we want to enjoy. I remember watching Paul Ince. Do you remember he had that big bandage on his head when he was playing for England, like a Frankenstein monster, blood all over it. It wasn't black blood, it wasn't white blood. It's English blood. He shed that blood playing for England. He gave everything. True grit. That kid had true grit. Same with other black players when I was growing up. Les Ferdinand, Rio Ferdinand, John Barnes. Can't sing, but great player, great ambassador to the sport. Rio Ferdinand, Anton Ferdinand, more modern day black players. Paul Parker. One of my favourites is Ian Wright. Ian Wright came from Sunday League football, played for Arsenal, became one of the best prolific scorers that Arsenal ever had. Great lad, loved to watch him. Alongside another great Arsenal black player, Thierry Henry, French guy. There was no bile or hatred towards them. They were just skillful goal-scoring machines, and the fans, I suppose, if you're an Arsenal fan, a gooner, as they call them, you love the era of them. But Dennis Bergkamp, another one, he was Dutch and white, but just showing how diverse the team was at Arsenal. And just to name one of the teams in the UK, it's always been that way. I grew up in, I was born in Sheffield, grew up in Nottingham, and later moved to Walsall in the West Midlands. And our schools, before it became trendy to use terms like multicultural and diverse, our schools were pretty mixed. My school in Nottingham, Sycamore, up at the top of Woodbury Road there, on the way to Gedling, it became the Afro-Caribbean Centre. It didn't become Mein Kampf school for young Nazis, white supremacists. It became the Afro-Caribbean Centre. And we were just people getting on with each other and enjoying life. I remember 60s, the songs that came out, the Equals, singing that, and just amazing music and stuff that they added to our culture. Yeah, there's always going to be fools around and people and the racist comments, but it wasn't an underlying feeling in society. It wasn't. We're not hatred people. People of England are not full of. They're tolerant. I've worked all over the world. Been Africa, all over. Name a country in Africa. Been there. The Middle East, Far East, from Yemen through Oman, up through Dubai, up into Iraq, Iran, Bahrain. You name it. I've been to South America, Australia, Singapore, Middle East, Indonesia, everywhere. You name it. I've been there. Worked there, and I still think that the English and our society and the structure of our society is fair and equal. I don't believe in English people. I think they're good at heart and nature. I think of my grandparents, aunties and uncles from Walsall. They were the kindest, nicest people you'd ever wish to meet. They never, I'm 60 years old, never once heard them make a racist comment towards us. My father, I mean, his Polish descendant came over in the Second War, his name like Makovakovic. I never got racist abuse for that. Maybe the odd kid would say, where am I from? Am I from Mars? And that, where'd you get a name like that? You know, in the mob, join the mob, and people were ribbing me in the morning. Where's your mum from? Where's your dad from? Why you got a name like that? And then we had the roll call. They had names worse and longer than mine. But it's in the spirit in which it's taken. And please don't make our kids and our society weak and lily-livered. As I said, you know, when I grew up and I watched Paul Ince and that blood on his head, and Terry Butcher was the same, and regardless of where they were from. Remember Ardiles? He had to leave because the Falklands War came up, but what a brilliant little player. What an amazing little player. And then you go to Juninho that went to Middlesbrough, and Gianfranco Zola. I used to love the Chelsea. I used to love Brighton, watching Brighton. But I came back to UK 96 from Dubai. I just got back into the UK 6th of June 96. Just in time for the Euro 96 tournament. And the country was buzzing. It was alive. It was electric. Every bar, every bit of seafront you went on, it was packed with great atmosphere, great people enjoying it. And 25 years later, we've suddenly become this hatred-filled society, racist, homophobic, misogynist. We didn't change. Nothing changed. The FA is the root of this problem. The FA is the root of this problem. The FA, full of socialists, decided to hijack the 2020 tournament. I know, guys, we'll start taking the knee. It's going to get the backup of the people, but we're going to make a stance on this. It's not their position to be changing societal norms or the way we think. They're there to govern football. Yes, individual players, they can make a stance. They can help change society. They can give. They can charitable donation. They could have stood and held their arm or their heart and as a symbol of. But this imported nonsense from the United States taking the knee. Started 2015, Black Lives Matter adopted it. Came to the forefront with the death of George Floyd. Don't get me started on that. And through white socialism, they've hijacked black people. They're using them as pawns. They're getting them stirred up. They're getting them angry about things that don't exist, things that aren't there. George Floyd was killed. Yeah, fair enough. I don't want to get into that conversation. It happened. But we've got police in England taking a knee, sitting there, standing there and watching thugs and yobbos and vandals tear down statues. When the police get to say what is law and what isn't law, we're all in trouble. Believe me, I nearly said a bad word then, but I don't want to use language. We're all in trouble when the police decide which laws they're going to follow and which laws they won't follow. Same with our education system, same with our health system, same with our legal system. We've got to go back to being people, enjoying our company of each other and enjoying what we get from each other. As I say, I born in Sheffield, grew up in Nottingham and moved to Walsall in the West Midlands. Walsall, the Saddlers. And from the Saddlers ground, I mean, you can walk to the Yam Yam Stadium at Molineux, that's the Wolverhampton Wanderers. You can walk to the Baggies, you know, Hawthorns. You can walk to Villa Park and the Blues ground. All these teams within a stone's throw of each other. And the rivalry on a Monday morning, if you supported any of those 5 or 6 teams, I mean, Coventry wasn't that far away, and Leicester. So if you supported any of those local teams, the rivalry was not, do you have any black players? Do you have any green players? Aldebaran Space Monkeys. It was the Villa beat the Blues. I mean, the Blues on Skid Row have been for a while, but they're Britain's second city. I'm sure they're going to get back up. I know the Manchester people do disagree with that, but officially, Birmingham's our second biggest city, and I'm sure they're going to get back up there and challenge the Villa for that top Premiership team. And that's the way it is. And the Baggies, I love to watch the Baggies. I'm not a Baggies fan. I'm more of a Brighton Chelsea fan for my sins, but I don't support any of them now. After this, I don't support any of them now. They've hijacked our sport. Same with the rugby union. I'm a big rugby fan, but taking the knee, went to Ireland, and before the game, got down on their knees and then lost. What is that? Why are you doing that to our sports team? Why is our sport being hijacked like this? My mum, I said we grew up in Nottingham until I was about 9 or 10. My mum took in a black family, Mrs. Kane and her 2 daughters, Sonia and Jennifer. And they came on to be good runners. Both the girls did. They became good runners. I came out of hospital, had yellow jaundice, been in the hospital for God knows how long. Came home, and I've got 3 new black relatives. My 2 cousins, Sonia and Jennifer, and my Auntie May, Mrs. Kane. I thought, I didn't think anything of it. They just, Mum told them they were my aunties and my cousins, and we got on. But Mrs. Kane was from the Caribbean. And what a beautiful, kind lady. My mum and Mrs. Kane, through my brother Richard actually, they maintained that friendship for years afterwards. Mum moved back to Walsall, where she was originally from, but she used to drive to Nottingham. Richard used to take us up there and go and visit Mrs. Kane. They lived in Ison Green. There's another Nottingham Labour again, built Ison Green. They demolished that whole nasty, vile complex before they finished paying for it. It's the mentality of the socialist people, you know, build it, destroy it, build another one. They didn't learn any lessons from it. But anyway, I'm digressing now. Or regressing, I don't know. Anyway, George Floyd became this hero worship thing of taking a knee, and I think of black people and who would have on a t-shirt, or who I would see a statue of and be impressed by it. And I'm a great fan of the movies. I love to watch Morgan Freeman. My friend Danny Dufresne. That's my Morgan Freeman impression. I love Morgan Freeman. Amazing actor, nice, kind guy, very beautiful voice. And I like Denzel Washington, amazing. Will Smith, I used to teach Will Smith dancing. You know, he's a bit of a dancer. Some of my moves in there. And Samuel L. Jackson, he uses the N-word a lot, but I'm not offended by it. I don't go crying because I'm on my big pillow, because I do have quite a big head. I don't go sleep on my big pillow, cry my eyes out. It's part of the entertainment. I accept it. It's what it is. But I look at heroes, and who would I hero worship and in the black community, and you can't help but get drawn back to Muhammad Ali. Now, that's the guy that took a stance. He didn't drag the whole nation to it. He made a personal stance against something that he didn't agree with, which was the Vietnam War. Hugely unpopular in the States when he made this decision, but he said the Viet Cong have done nothing to me. I'm not going to go there and fight them. And rather than go and fight them, he went to prison. He didn't get down on his knee, he didn't get the rest of the country down, and he didn't accuse everybody. He took it himself. That was his decision to make a stand. He went to prison, lost his boxing license, and his ability to earn a salary and money to provide for his family. But he did it. Like a man, he took it on the chin, a bit of a pun, but he got on with it, and he came out of prison and went on to be the world heavyweight boxing champion. Brilliant. What a brilliant fighter. The Louisville Lip. I mean, if you don't admire him, then you don't belong in our society. But everybody belongs in our society. I'm going back on myself there. Then you're a little cuckoo. A little bit crazy. Ali had he was in the Guinness Book of Records for the shortest rhyming poem. In the cauldron of hate from black and white America for his stance on the Vietnam War, in the middle of all that, and in the thick of it all, he had to go to Harvard University, or he went to Harvard University to lecture, to give a speech to young up-and-coming Americans. That they would be the creme de la creme of America, the wealthy children of the American society. And he stood in front of them, and from his own words, not mine, he was ill-educated. He didn't have the education that a lot of people have or deserve. And he stood in front of these people from Harvard University. He didn't attack them. He didn't berate them. He didn't get angry with them. He stood in front of them and he said, me, we. Two words summed him up as a person. What a beautiful, eloquent ambassador to the sport and to people in general, to society. Yeah, he gave back, and he made his stance, and he made his point clear. And sad loss when he went. I love to watch Billy Crystal impersonate Muhammad Ali, and I watched his funeral several times, and the people that get up and speak for him. I used to love the old Dean Martin roasts. I don't know if you're too young to remember that, some of you, but he had Ali on there, and they roast him, and just an amazing show, you know. It's Sammy Davis Jr. He gets rid of something terrible. But what I'm saying, people, is look after each other, rejoice in each other. You know, rejoice in your Englishness. Don't be put off by this. Don't take this to heart. It's some crazies in our society. I nearly said another bad word, I don't want to say that, but yeah, look after each other. Think about it. Okay, thank you very much. See you later.